بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We did finish Ibn Qayyim yesterday, didn't we?
Correct.
Okay. طيب. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم لله تعالى. I praise Allah and I thank Allah. I ask Allah to send countless blessings and salutations on Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inshallah, we do this for the sake of Allah. So after talking about Ibn Taymiyyah and his main student Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, who represented a creed that contradict the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, and in mentioning some of the areas in the creed and those issues that must be corrected, I wanted to tell you and to read to you the correct position of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah and the majority of the Muslim nation, which is represented in the Ash'ari school, which also includes the Maturidi school. So we wanted to just read quickly, as I don't have much time, on page 1008 in the notes and appendixes, W57, which tells us about the Ash'ari school. Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulullah. The author, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, said, the Ash'ari school from W6.3. Remarked by the translator, in Fundamentals of Islamic Faith, Usul, virtually all of the scholars quoted in the present volume are Ash'aris, whose school of thought has been presented for readers to examine themselves in sections U3, V1, V2, and W8. The school's position on figurative interpretation, ta'wil, of primary text has also been discussed at A4.2 and W6.3, the latter of which explains that, like all Orthodox Muslims, the Ash'aris interpret matters of the afterlife, heaven, hell, and so on as literal realities, while interpreting certain expressions referring to attributes of Allah Ta'ala Most High, His hand, eyes, and the like, as figurative, meaning as allusions to His power, omniscience, and so forth. Though many, like Imam Ash'ari himself and Imam Nawawi, consigned the knowledge of the real meaning of such expressions to Allah Ta'ala, tafweed, others of the school, originally in reply to anthropomorphists of their time,
Anthropomorphists, for some of us who may not know what that means, there are those who give Allah attributes similar to attributes of created things.
have found figurative interpretations both more useful to Islam and ultimately more convincing. To support their position, they adduce that such words such as hand must be either figurative, majazi, or literal, hakiki, since the literal meaning of hand is a bodily limb, an attribute that is unbelief, kufr, to ascribe to Allah Ta'ala Most High, the only other possibility is that it is figurative.
We said, since the literal meaning of hand, yet, even in Arabic, yet, the literal meaning, the hakiki meaning, is a limb, an organ, an attribute that is kufr, unbelief, to ascribe to Allah Most High. Not permissible to say that about Allah, right? And this is dangerous when you ascribe hands and feet and organs to Allah and say they are literal, which are bodily appendages, which is kufr to say about Allah. It's very important. That's why this is dangerous. Someone's talking about Allah has hands and eyes and feet and a face and a shin, and it's literal. Oof. And the literal meaning is a limb. This is kufr. You cannot believe it. It's not permissible. Go ahead.
The Quran contains many examples of figures of speech, such as, whoever was blind in this life shall be blind in the hereafter, and even further astray. Quran, Surah 17, Ayah 72. which does not refer to the physically blind in this life, but rather to those blind, figuratively speaking, to the signs of Allah Ta'ala and heedless of His warnings. Or the verse, Today we forget you as you have forgotten this day of yours. Quran, Surah 45, Ayah 34, in which Allah Ta'ala's forgetting cannot be literally interpreted as a divine attribute, for Allah forgets nothing, but must rather be understood in its intended figurative sense as meaning that Allah Ta'ala will abandon unbelievers to their punishment. Like virtually all languages of mankind, the ancient classical Arabic in which the Holy Quran was revealed abounds in metaphors, metonyms, figures of speech, and rhetorical embellishments. Indeed, a revelation devoid of such features would have had little claim to eloquence among the Arabs, and the figurative interpretations of the Asharis are generally supported by compelling similar linguistic examples, parallels, and lexical precedents drawn from the language's long history. Despite which, because of the possibility that Allah Ta'ala intends something other by such expressions than the particular interpretation suggested by scholars, the best and safest path for a Muslim is consignment of the knowledge of such things to Allah Ta'ala, tafweed,
which we
unless
talked about,
forced.
which is to recite the attribute as it has came in the Quran or the Sunnah, to affirm that attribute, to clear Allah from any resemblance to the creation, and to negate any howness or modality. That is tafweed. Now,
Unless forced to refute anthropomorphists who
like
do not.
Al-Wahhabiyya in our time, who keep insisting that we literally believe Allah is in location or direction or has hands or feet, then in this case, we're going to explain the other possibility of figurative interpretation from the language to show that this is not befitting to say about Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now,
who do not, in effect, worship the transcendent deity of Islam, but rather a form like themselves, something unquestionably rejected by the Quranic verse.
and they literally say that Allah has a surah, and they understand from that a form, but we don't know how that form is. In any case, a form for Allah is not befitting, even if you don't know how the form, because there is no how for Allah or His attributes.
There is nothing whatsoever like unto him. Quran, Surah 42, Ayah 11. The Ash'ari school has naturally earned the criticism of misconceived contemporary efforts to revive anthropomorphism, the excesses of whose proponents have inspired the author of the section below to remind Muslims of the fundamentally orthodox character of the school that has represented the majority of Sunni Muslims for the greater part of Islam's
I
history.
want to share, we live in a time where al-mushabbiha and al-mujassima, modern day form, have spread all around the world. And their information is in almost every location. As Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we have the religious obligation to explain the truth. We have the religious obligation to spread the truth and to explain it and to clarify for the Muslims these misconceptions. It's an obligation for us. Those who have the ability, it's fard ain. For those who do not have the ability, it's fard kifaya in terms that they have to encourage someone else to do it. But the one who has the ability has to do it. It's a personal obligation for them to do it. And those who don't have the ability, they have the obligation of what? Of encouraging and supporting the one who has the ability to do it. No one is free. Everyone has a form of obligation on them in this issue. Now,
W57.2 Muhammad Alawi Maliki.
it's not sunnah, it's fard. You have to do it. You don't have a choice. The only choice is neglect means sinfulness, and we can't afford to be sinful. Now,
Many sons of Muslims are ignorant of the Ash'ari school, whom it represents, and its positions on tenets of Islamic faith. And yet some of them are not God-fearing enough to refrain from accusing it of deviance, departure from the religion of Islam, and heresy about the attributes of Allah Ta'ala. This ignorance of the Ash'ari school is a cause of rendering the unity of Ahl Sunnah and dispersing its ranks. Some have gone so far as to consider the Ash'aris among the categories of heretical sects, though it is beyond me how believers can be linked with misbelievers, or how Sunni Muslims can be considered equal with the most extreme factions of the Mutazilites and Jamites. Shall we deal with Muslims as we do criminals? How is it that you judge? Quran Surah 68, Ayah 35 and 36. The Asharis are the Imams of the distinguished features of guidance among the scholars of the Muslims, whose knowledge has filled the world from east to west, and whom people have unanimously concurred upon their excellence, scholarships, and religiousness. They include the first rank of Sunni scholars and most brilliant of their luminaries, who stood in the face of the excesses committed by the Mutazilites, as discussed earlier in W6.4, and who constitute whole sections of the foremost Imams of Hadith, sacred law, and Quranic exegesis. Shaykh al-Islam Ahmed ibn Hajar Asqalani, the mentor of Hadith scholars and author of the book Fatabari Bishar Sahih al-Bukhari, which not a single Islamic scholar can dispense with, was Ash'ari. The
Here
Shaykh
you think about that. Ibn Hajar Asqalani, Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar Asqalani, no one who studies Hadith and studies Sahih Bukhari can leave off his book. He was an Ash'ari. He was an Ash'ari. You should keep this in mind. He's going to mention some Ash'ari who were Ash'aris. And they are the most famous figures in Islamic knowledge in their field. They were Ash'aris. So don't be like you're by yourself. La, you have mountains behind you. Naam.
The Sheikh of scholars of Sunni Islam, Imam Nawawi, author of Sharh Sahih Muslim and many of other famous works, was Ash'ari.
No one doesn't read 40 Hadith or Riyad al-Salihin or Al-Adhkar or Sharh Sahih Muslim by Imam al-Nawawi, and they never mention to you Imam al-Nawawi was an Ash'ari. Imam al-Nawawi was a Shafi. Imam al-Nawawi was a Sufi. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani was Ash'ari, Shafi, Sufi, just like Imam Amin. Just they were knowledgeable. So if I'm a deviant, what are they? Deviants. And if you rely on these deviants, then we're all the same. You cannot have it both ways. They were Shafi, Ash'ari, Sufi. We are Shafi, Ash'ari, Sufi. If their belief is valid, their practices are valid, they're trustworthy, then likewise what we are conveying is the same thing. So if we are deviant, what are you saying about them? Because our belief and our practice is the same as theirs. So if we are deviants, we are misguided Sufis, so was the greatest scholars of Islam in Hadith, Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani and Imam al-Nawawi. We should think about that. Go ahead.
The master of Quranic exegetes, Imam Qurtubi, author of Al-Jami lil-Ahkam al-Quran, was Ash'ari.
If you're talking about the Quran, Imam al-Qurtubi was Maliki, Ash'ari, Sufi, just like Imam Naim. Maliki, Ash'ari, Sufi. That's Imam al-Qurtubi. Everyone refers to his tafsir of the Quran. It is one of the most famous tafsirs of the Quran. He was Ash'ari, Maliki, Sufi.
Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Hajar Haytami, who wrote Al-Zawajir and Ikhtiraf al-Kaba'ir, was Ash'ari.
And he was Shafi'i, Ash'ari, Sufi, and I can go on with every single one of them. Naam.
The Sheikh of Sacred Law and Hadith and conclusively definitive Zakaria Ansari was Ash'ari.
Ash'ari, Shafi'i, Sufi.
Imam Abu Bakr Baqillani, Imam Asqalani,
Abu Bakr Baqillani, Maliki, Ash'ari, Sufi.
Imam Nasafi,
Hanafi, Maturidi, Sufi.
Imam Sharbini,
Al-Khatib Shirbini, Shafi'i, Ash'ari, Sufi.
Abu Hayyan Tawhidi,
Shafi'i, Sufi, Ash'ari.
author of the Quranic commentary of Al-Bahr al-Muhit. Imam Ibn Juzay,
No.
author of Tashil fi Ulum and At-Tanzil, and
Mm.
others. All of these were Imams of the Asharis. If we wanted to name all of the top scholars of Hadith, Quranic exegesis, and sacred law who were Imams of the Asharis, we would be hard we would be hard put to do so and require volumes merely to list these illustrious figures whose wisdom has filled the earth from east to west.
If you
And
wanted to put all of the great scholars who were Ash'ari, following the madhab in Sufi, you need volumes. Just talking about the foremost scholars in every field, volumes, not 4 or 5 people, not 6 people, not 10 people, tens of thousands of scholars. And all of them were deviant, all of them were misguided, all of them didn't understand Islam when they are the foremost scholars who conveyed the religion. Come on, let's use our brains. Let's wake up. Nam.
And it is incumbent upon us to give credit where credit is due, in recognizing the merit of those of knowledge and virtue who has served the sacred law of the greatest of messengers, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Allah Ta'ala bless him and give him peace. What good is to be hoped for us if we impugn our foremost scholars and righteous forbearers with charges of aberrancy and misguidance?
Let's
Or
think
how,
about that. That doesn't even make sense. How do we expect any goodness if the best scholars we got, that we have, the most learned in every field, we say all of them were deviant? What do you expect from us, really? Like your best scholarship, everything that you rely upon to convey your religion, someone comes and tell you they were all misguided, they were all deviant, they didn't understand, they were all grave worshippers who were misguided, had the wrong belief. All of these greats, they're the ones who conveyed our religion in every field: Quran, Hadith, fiqh, language, seerah, every science. They were the ones who conveyed it. All of them were misguided. All of them had bad belief. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What do we expect from us? Now,
or how should Allah Ta'ala give us the benefit of their scholarship if we believe it is deviance and a departure from the way of Islam? I ask you, is there a single Islamic scholar or present day among all the PhDs and geniuses who has done what Ibn Hajar Asqalani or Imam Nawawi have of the service rendered by those two noble Imams? Allah Ta'ala enfold them in His mercy and bliss to the pure prophetic Sunnah.
look at that question. Take all these doctorate, PhDs, master's degrees, take all of them together, put them all together. Have any of them done the likes to service of the hadith of the Prophet, like Ibn Hajar Asqalani or Imam Nawawi, who were Ash'ari, who were Shafi, who were Sufi? Think about that. Put them all together from wherever. Put all those PhDs together. Are any of you combined like them? No. You have not done nowhere near the work of them. But they're misguided. They're Ash'aris, deviant. The Sufis, deviant. But you haven't done the likes, not close to the work they did for the prophetic hadith. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah be pleased with them. It's an insult when you know. It's an insult when you know. It's a direct attack on our religion in the name of our religion. It's a direct attack on our religion in the name of our religion. It is a direct attack on our religion in the name of our religion. May Allah protect us. Now,
How should we charge them and all Asharis with aberrancy when it is we who are in need of their scholarship? Or how can we take knowledge from them if they were in error? As for Imam Zuhri, Allah Ta'ala have mercy upon him, says, This knowledge is religion, so look well to whom you are taking your religion from.
Yeah, if they are deviant, why we keep taking religion from deviant people? Why we keep publishing their books? Oh, so we can change it and we can put our own stuff and then say, here, they were misguided in this, but you can accept this. They were misguided in this, and everything they were misguided, and you just change, and you're nowhere like them, but we should accept you and reject them, and you're relying on their works. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
It is not sufficient for someone opposed to the Ash'aris to say, Allah Ta'ala have mercy on them. They use their reasoning, ijtihad, in figuratively interpreting the divine attributes, which it would have been fitter for them not to do, instead of accusing them of deviance and misguidance, or displaying anger towards whoever considers them to be of the Sunni community. If Imam Nawawi, Asqalani, Qurtubi, Baqillani, Al-Fakhr al-Razi, Haytami, Zakaria Ansari, and others were not among the most brilliant scholars and illustrious geniuses or of the Sunni community, then who are the Sunnis? I sincerely entreat all who call
Yeah, if these people are not Ahl Sunnah, then who is? Who are Ahl Sunnah? If these great, illustrious scholars who have served this deen in a way that is unprecedented in the history of religions, in the history, not just of Islam, religions, periods, the way they serve the deen, if they're not the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, then who are? Bin Baz, Al-Albany, Ibn Uthaymeen, Fawzan? Really? Are you serious? It's not even a comparison in knowledge, in piety, in anything. You want us to replace them with this? Come on, man. It's only that we don't know. And that is the biggest victory for the people of misguidance, the lack of knowledge of Ahl Sunnah. Being uninformed about our religion is what is giving them the ability to cheat in the name of our religion. Us being uninformed about our religion is the biggest reason that they're able to deceive and cheat in the name of our religion. Us being uninformed about our religion, unlearned about our religion and our scholars and our history is the biggest reason why they are able to cheat and misguide in the name of our religion. Now,
I sincerely entreat all who call others to this religion or who work in the field of propagating Islam to fear Allah Ta'ala, respecting the honor of the community of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Allah Ta'ala bless him and give him peace, especially its great sages and scholars in sacred law. For the community of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allah Ta'ala bless him and give him peace, is possessed of goodness until the final hour, while we are bereft of any if we fail to acknowledge the worth and excellence of our learned.
may Allah reward you all. I know there are, and I'm going to say this in closing, myself, and I hope you too, I'm not a good apologist, right? I'm not. The truth is the truth, and we need to learn to accept the truth and stop making excuses while we don't convey the truth and while we don't accept the truth while knowing it's the truth. We should stop doing that. The truth is the truth. And we should learn to be people of the truth. And the truth is more important than my emotions. Not to say my emotions are not important, but it's not as important as telling the truth. Okay, Farouk, just to answer your question, sometimes a thing is far kifaya. It is far kifaya in and of itself. But if you're the only one that can do it, then it becomes far ayn on you. You follow? The thing in general is far kifaya. If someone does it, it's fulfilled. But if no one can do it but you, that's far ayn on you. Do you follow? Is that clear? You're the only one who can do it. You can't say it's Fard Kifaya, let someone else do it. There's no one else to do it but you. It's Fardain on you. Do you understand? You follow Farouk? That's why we have to talk. That's why we have to do it. If there was other teachers, I would sit down and just be quiet, which I would prefer. But if no one's going to do it and you have the ability to do it, you have to do it. Right? I tell you, I'd much rather sit down and learn and just let someone else do it. And that's what I'm trying to push. I'm trying to push people who are more knowledgeable than me in our community, because we need African Americans to do this work. It can't always be foreigners. It doesn't affect us the same. You need African American Sunni Muslims, Asharis, Maturidis, Maliki, Shafi, Hanafi, Hanbali, real Hanbalis, right? Real Asharis, real Maturidis, real Sufi that believe Tasawwuf. They got to speak up. They got to convey this knowledge. There are many who are way more qualified than me, but they're silent. That's the problem. It's not that we don't have people. We do. They are silent. They are compromising principles to get along and get support. They know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not strange. I didn't make it up. It's not me. I'm intelligent. No, they're just remaining silent. They have the ability to speak, but they won't. They won't speak. That's the problem. Or they speak only in some small circle with a few of their students. They sound like me in private, but in public, silent. In private, they sound like Imam Amin or worse, if I sound bad, right? They are worse in public. If you hear what they say privately, they go. But publicly, subhanallah. But if you hear them privately, you be like, all the stuff you know. Why are you not speaking up? I don't cause no fitna. Just tell the truth. You don't got to cause fitna. Just teach. Just spread the knowledge. You know it. You've trained. You studied. You did more than me. Come on, man. Get busy. Stop making excuses. Get busy. I know this 100% for sure. I know a lot of people, African American, just like me, studied longer than me, know better than me what I'm talking about, but they remain silent. I know a bunch of them. They know better than me. They could teach this way better than me, but they remain silent. Because they don't want what comes along with teaching. They know. They know exactly what I'm talking about. I know them. I don't want no smoke. Don't get no smoke. Just teach the knowledge and avoid the smoke. Right? But teach. I would like to see a day where there are 50 post-Fajr reflections. You don't have to call it post-Fajr reflections. Teaching the knowledge in every state. How about that? Wouldn't you love to see that? What if you saw 10 African American Sunni brothers, teachers out publicly every day giving it up? 10 sisters, African Americans, every day teaching at this level or higher. Wouldn't all of you love to see that? It's just available. Wouldn't you love to see that? Be honest. You, all of you. 10 brothers, 10 sisters teaching what I'm doing or even more higher, publicly, well known. Wouldn't you love to see that? All of us would love it. I would. Teaching the books, doing what they got it. I would love to see that. And we have it. It's available. It's people who can do it. They can do it. All they got to do is muscle up the courage. And I say it like that. I got to go now. Yeah. Right? They could do it. We got graduates from Azhar and Azhar University, graduates, African Americans. Azhar has conferences talking about the Ash'ari Creed. Conferences from all around the world. They spread Azhar University. They spread it. They defend it. They write books over and over. You graduated from Azhar. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Why are you silent? When your teachers, Sheikh Ahmed Tayyib, Ali Jum'ah, and all of those other big sheikhs of Azhar, they all tell you, Al-Sunnah, hum al-asha'ira wal-maturidiyya. And they have conferences, and they push it, and they spread it, and they write books. Why are you silent? Don't tell me I don't know. I'll show you the books. I got my start in Azhar. I know what they're there. I know what they teach. I have the books. We meet with the teachers. We know what they teach. But you'll have people coming from Azhar with Wahhabi creed, making a bunch of noise, and the real Azharis are silent. What is this? You have people graduating from Azhar, coming back to America, spreading Wahhabi belief, where the real Azharis, who are Azhari, are afraid. What is this? What is this? Think about it. It's crazy. They're graduating from an Azhar school, Ash'ari Aqidah. That is Azhar. Been that way for 1,000 years. And the people graduating from them are coming out to our communities, spreading a belief totally opposite of what Azhar teaches. And the ones who know it are silent. What is this? What is this? What is this? You got people who graduated from far less powerful institutions in knowledge and scholarship, and you represent this great tradition, and you quiet. What is this? What sense does it make? Why did you go to school? For what? I hate it. Burns me up inside. For what? Why you go to school? To get a lousy paycheck? Is that what you went to school for? To get a lousy paycheck, but not stand for what you went to school for, which your school has stood for 1,000 years, the Kaaba of knowledge in the world, and you afraid to talk. Come on, man. Be serious. We're in a crisis in our communities, and you have the medicine, and you're afraid to spread it. It's worse than the coronavirus, and you have the cure, but you are silent. At least lend support that that's true. At least, at minimum, that's the truth, what he's conveying. That is Ahl Sunnah. That is the way of what we learn from our teachers. Convey the truth, at least, minimum. Jeez, something. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It's sad. You let the unqualified have to do your work when you're qualified. You're the one with the degree. You're the one with the stamp saying I graduated. You have a shahada, and you weak, not doing anything but entertaining people. when souls are being lost with bad belief, and you know better. You know better. You were trained, you know better. You were trained, you know better. You know about the Asanid. You know about our chains of narration. You know about our scholars. You know about their books, and you are silent in the face of pamphlets. You are silent in the face of pamphlets when you have volumes of scholarly works, and you're afraid. You're too shy. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What about all your great teachers, generation after generation, who have wrote and spread and conveyed and suffered to spread this knowledge, and you get it, and that's their legacy? You, with that kind of passiveness? La ilaha illallah. People, at least we can wake them up. We can wake them up. Our deen is at stake. While we're entertaining, collecting checks, being invited to speak nonsense, people are spreading bad belief and destroying people's hereafter. And we are watching it. In fact, sometimes we're helping. And this is happening from Syria. This is happening from Yemen. This is happening from Egypt. This is happening from Pakistan, Morocco, different places all around the world. But what they don't tell us, those scholars are at the forefront fighting. I know, I have their stuff. I follow them in Arabic. I follow the lectures. I see what they're doing. And we here, we're not pulling our weight. We're not pulling our weight in the West. We're not pulling our weight. We have work to do. We have work. Stop trying to take the easy path. Paradise is not an easy path. It's a path of hard work and struggle. That's the path to Jannah. It is filled with things that's against your desire. As the scholars say, when the person is silent in the face of falsehood, he's a tongueless devil. Don't be a tongueless devil. May Allah reward you. I went way over the time, but serious, man, we got work to do. And if people are not going to work, we have to do it. If our learned are not going to do it, we have to do it. If the learned are not going to do it, we have to do it. We have no choice. With our deficiencies, with our weaknesses, whatever we got, we have to do it. They are the police, if you want to put it in another way. And if the police are not going to protect our communities, we have to. Our learned, they are the ones who are supposed to protect us. If they're not going to do it, we got to do it. Period. If the police are not going to protect our communities, it's our job to protect our communities. That's it. If our scholars are not going to protect our religion, then we got to protect our religion. But the religion must be protected. Our communities must be protected. Period. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.